going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Hills Are Silent podcast, where we like to decapitate like a guillotine and chop it up a bit about the games of yesterday, today, and tomorrow. I'm Two-Tone the Artist.
And I am Mitch the Beach.
Let's do this, man. Got some good topics for you. So, figured we'd do something a little different. Depending on how this goes, this may be a series for a little bit. So, let's work our way backwards through time. Everybody's so hyped about what game's coming out next month, next quarter, next year, what's in the future. You know, we got to remember there are literally tens of thousands of video games that have already been released. So you can be as hyped as you want about the next game, but I'm sure there's a game already out right now that you can play that is exactly what you're looking for. So Mitch and I decided to be a little reflective and go back way in the past to the year 2023 to see what games were released that we didn't get a chance to play and still want to play, and also what were the games we did play through that were released in 2023 that turned out to be pretty awesome. So Mitch, I'll pass it over to you. Let's start out with what games we did play in 2023 that were released that year. What you got up first, man?
Yeah, and I think as we go backwards in time, we'll start getting to some games that maybe we didn't cover in the pod, but actually all three of my choices we have covered in the pod before because they left that much of an impression on me. 2023 was a really good year in video games, so it was hard to narrow it down to three. But the first one on my list is the infamous Hogwarts Legacy, the open world action role-playing game developed by Avalanche Software. This was one that was highly anticipated, and people were really hoping that they didn't screw this up because the Harry Potter property is, incredibly popular, and people thinking, oh my gosh, they're going to put this into an action RPG and people can roam all of Hogwarts and do all this cool stuff, and they delivered on all of it. And I mean, it's one of those times, when either you like read a book or listen to a song or play a video game, you know exactly where you were like the moment that you were playing it. And Hogwarts Legacy kind of got to me before I was talking to you before we started the pod. Like, I literally had just moved into this apartment. It was the first game that I was playing when I moved into the apartment I live in now. And remember, I was playing it. I was kind of getting ready to upgrade to my new fancy TV as well. So like it was it was a great time. To play some games, and this one left a mark on me for a multitude of reasons. I mean, they just put so much content in it to the point where like I am still debating sometimes on going back and playing it over again, because there actually is new content if you play it over again, depending on which house you pick. For instance, I was a Ravenclaw because every Harry Potter test I've done, I go into the Ravenclaw house when you do those little tests online. But I kind of want to go back and do one in the Hufflepuff house because you get to you have some certain side quests that are different than if I were to have been in Ravenclaw like I did my first playthrough. You get to go to actually like Azkaban and like from obviously the book The Prisoner of Azkaban and do like side quests in that area, which is I think really cool and something I would have liked to have done. So I know they're not doing any DLC for this game, so I mean if I want to go back to it, I really think just choosing another house and doing some of the content that I missed from the first playthrough. But as we both know, our backlogs are crazy and it probably will never happen, but it's something I could definitely see myself considered playing over again.
Yeah, I think that's interesting that there's no plans to release DLC, because I feel like that's just unheard of these days.
It really is, because it seems like it's kind of an easy way to get an extra, $20-$30 from the consumer who's like looking for more content. And I mean, based on how well the game did too, you would think maybe they would have thrown a little more in there. But I know they are talking about sequels to the game too, so maybe they kind of just simply dive in and go start working on that sequel. But I mean, the game they have now, I mean, they created a beautiful world. found myself, the flying physics were a lot of fun. Like you got a broom and you could fly around, the entire map in this broom. And playing on my Series X was great because it was just like seamless the whole time. There's never loading screens, never anything like that. It's just crazy where you can create this huge open world and there's just like, it's just seamless through the entire world of it. Like, back years back, obviously, like you go to, 10 feet and you got a loading screen, so it's interesting how much space this world is and that it's just so seamless and fun just to fly around. And just they put a lot of content in as well. Like obviously I do a lot of aimless flying, but I mean there's a lot of loot that you can get from exploring. And I think I've talked about in another podcast that the lock picking in it is really fun as well. And I'm a sucker for a game with good lock picking from my days of playing, the Fallouts and the Skyrims and other games like that. So yeah, I mean, just a wonderful game overall. I love Harry Potter in general too. So I mean, obviously, like the property itself, I love. But they just put so many puzzles and side quests, and the main story's great. And I mean, I feel like I kind of maybe rushed through it a little bit the first time because there's a lot of other games I wanted to beat. But yeah, I could see myself going back and playing through a little more time just to get back into that world and even just fly around and immerse myself in it again. My only gripe is that I wish it had Quidditch. It does not have a Quidditch mode. And I thought I had heard some rumors that maybe they were thinking of just making a multiplayer Quidditch game, like as a standalone, separate from Hogwarts Legacy. And please sign me up for that if that's true. Because I love playing that Quidditch GameCube game that I actually just recently got again.
Nice.
But yeah, that's Hogwarts Legacy. I could talk about that game forever, but we have a lot of games to discuss. If you haven't played it yet, I definitely recommend it, especially if you have like a next-gen console like a PS5 or a Series X. I think it runs, it's the best way to play it is on one of those because it just runs, super smooth, or even if you have a really good PC.
Yes. My only gripe with the game, and I've never played this game, but looking into getting a physical copy of this game, it's not going to work. So it's one of those situations where the game on disc is incomplete. So in order to actually play the game, even if you have the physical disc, you still have to download a chunk of the game from the internet before you can play it. So unfortunately, this is an amazing game that may someday be lost to time because there's no true physical edition of it. It's digital only, essentially.
Yeah, and it was one that I know we've always talked about how we never get games at full price, but this was one that I actually just bit the bullet and got it digitally like day one because of what you said. Like there wasn't a really good way to get a physical copy of it anyway.
Yeah, well, it sounds like this is one of the games that was worth it.
It was, yeah. I got my money's worth and more with that, so I do not regret the $60 purchase at all.
Nice. All right, man, keeping it moving along. For me, Dead Space, the remake. Now, I played through this on my honeymoon in St. Martin, and it was amazing. It was creepy. It still retained some of that original Dead Space jank, but I can dig it because I love the original Dead Space game, and sometimes it's nice to play something that just reminds me of that early 2000s era. I mean, I think the original one came out like 2009, but the graphics were fantastic. It was creepy. It was a long game. I did not remember Dead Space 1 being this long, but it was well worth a playthrough. I recommend it to anybody who's a fan of survival horror games. This one leans a little more on action horror than survival horror, but I'd love to see more of this stuff, and I'd love more remakes of great classic games. I mean, I really still think the original one holds up,
yeah,
as well as the second one and the third one. I don't feel like they're that old of games that really needed a remake, but hey, if EA is going to remake it, I'll take it, man. Can't be mad at that.
Seems like EA did a better job at this than they did with the recent Star Wars Battlefront 1 and 2 that they just re-released. That have been the reviews are really bad on
Yeah,
Steam.
I saw that, man, and I was bummed about that. And
Same.
That was made by Aspire, I think is the name of the publisher or the developer. And I've gotten some of their other Star Wars remakes, like their Republic Commandos. What else? The Episode 1 Pod Racer. And the Jedi Knights games, I think, that were originally on the OG Xbox. All those remakes were great. Granted, all those were single-player only experiences, and it sounds like they really struggled with the servers here, so maybe that was the differentiating factor. But man, I was bummed about that, because I did want to pick that up, but at the same time, I own the originals on the original Xbox and PC, and I actually played through both of them back in like 2015 or 2016 on PC, and they still run great. The original ones do, so I didn't really feel like it needed a re-release. But you know, my thinking was, if it could bring more people back to this game and the online modes, then sure, re-release the game. I'll pay again for it just so I can get some more players to actually play the big multiplayer battles. But man, hopefully they can get it squared away, and once they do, hopefully they put out a physical release of it, because I have the Episode 1 and Republic Commando like combo pack on PS4, as well as the Jedi Knights combo pack, and the great games. I would love to have a PS4 edition of the original 2 Battlefronts on a physical game as well, but
that would be sick.
It seems like they're not doing a physical release of this. At least nothing has been announced.
Mm-hmm. And based on the reviews, I mean, we'll see what becomes of it. Hopefully they keep maybe making some improvements on it. I know I think maybe people were confused with it being a re-release and not a remaster per se. So I don't know if that has something to do with the negative reviews or not, because it still kind of has the old jank to it, I guess.
Yeah, but those are great games, man. Like I said, I went back not that long ago, played through both of them, and they were great. So I do want this game, so I'm rooting for them to get this squared away, because I will be picking this one up so I can jump back in to the online.
Absolutely.
All right, man, keeping it rocking. What's up next on what you played in 2023?
Yeah, up next is one that I've talked about multiple times in this podcast, and I will continue to preach how much people need to play this, because it is awesome, and it is Hi-Fi Rush, which is the rhythm action game developed by Tango Gameworks, which, for those who don't know, is the folks who made Evil Within 2 and Ghostwire Tokyo. And it's not a horror game like a lot of Tango Gameworks has been mostly known for. It is a rhythm action game where essentially you do more damage if you are attacking people on beat, but you are never forced to play on beat, which is, kind of what got me to stick with the game, because I think, as Mike and I have both talked about, we're not super big fans of these of rhythm games like that action rhythm for the most part. But the fact that they kind of gave you the option to, you do more damage if you're on beat, but if you're not, you're not. It doesn't penalize you too much. Kept me going. Plus, it was just a really cool world that they developed. This really just unique idea of essentially just taking over, restoring the music, and defeating a bunch of robots in the process. It was just a really interesting thing. And then they had some cool what's the word for Easter eggs. I think I told on one of the other podcasts, they actually had Sebastian and Oda in robot form from the Evil Within, which I thought was super funny to run into them on multiple occasions as they would talk to you and tell you Evil Within lines, and just kind of bring you back to those games, which I also really love. At least I love the first one. The second one I could do without, but the first one is great. And I think it was also cool, and they need to get their props. they completely dropped this like on day one that it was announced. Like it was completely under wraps forever, and then Xbox had a major conference, and they just said, "Hey, there's this game, Hi-Fi Rush, only $40 if if you want to purchase it, but it's on Game Pass and you can play it right now." And I thought that was the coolest concept, and it definitely was an effective marketing strategy because that's really what drew me in to play it immediately. Just seeing that, oh, I can play this right now. I mean, and it seemed like a cool, unique concept with a cool art style, and yeah, I mean, nothing but good things to say about it. It is probably my favorite single player game that I played in 2023. It is up there for me. I am so excited to get the physical release that Limited Run Games is doing. Props, a shout out to them for making that happen, because it is one that I do want to add to my collection. But yeah, funny dialogue, really smooth like gameplay physics. I mean, a good like skill tree to like unlock new stuff to like attack with. Not overly difficult, but they do reward you for obviously staying on beat. And plus, just some good music. Not only like licensed music, but some of the music that they just had that was, their own created music that they had was really good. So, overall excellent. After playing Evil Within 2 and not really enjoying that, and Ghostwire Tokyo, I think I've heard very mixed things about Ghostwire Tokyo. So for them to come out and like release this one and it be a banger, like really good, yeah, props to them. I loved it, and that's another one that I feel like I could see myself playing again at some point, because the gameplay loop is really fun.
Yeah, another one I still need to try.
I really do want you just to try it. I mean, you may fall off it, you may not. I think it's addicting once you get started, and they do a really good job of like teaching you the mechanics as you go along to kind of help you, stay on beat with as the game goes on. But just funny dialogue, good gameplay. Like it was just such a charming experience. I did not expect coming into 2023. So yeah, super pleased with it.
All right, man. Next up for me is a game you actually picked for me to play last year.
Sure did.
And that is Shadow Warrior 3. Now, I had played the first one. It was good. Played the second one. It was good. I've never played the original Shadow Warrior that came out in the 90s. But this looked right up my alley. I love first-person shooters. I love Doom-style first-person shooters. You can definitely tell there was heavy influence in this from the most recent Doom games. And it was awesome. Beautiful art style. Ridiculous humor. Just the game did not take itself seriously at all, and it was just very lighthearted, very enjoyable. I started playing on hard difficulty, and I got maybe about halfway through the game, and then it just got, at that point, it was just so difficult. And I hated that I had to do this, but I had to drop the difficulty down to normal. I remember there was one level, one section, because basically you enter an arena, they lock you in, a bunch of enemies show up, you have a grappling hook that you swing around, and you're jumping, double jumping, and just moving super fast. You have to stay moving, and you have all kinds of different cool weapons. And each enemy has weaknesses to specific weapons, so it's kind of strategy involved with there as well on how you're attacking which enemy. But anyway, there's this one room I played like 30 times in a row, and it just was so ridiculous. And finally, I'm just like, if I'm going to get through this game, I'm going to have to drop the difficulty. So I dropped it from hard to medium and instantly beat that room on the first try on medium. I mean, I guess it was kind of expected because I've been training on hard mode for like the past 2 hours. So, but yeah, it's just crazy. They almost needed a difficulty between medium and hard.
It shows how good a game it is, though, by how many times you tried that same room on the hard difficulty. Like, so I mean, as much as like, yeah, it probably sucked to have to go through that room a bunch of times. At least it seems like you enjoyed the game because you kept trying.
Yeah, and it was all about that perfect run. Like you just one slip up and you were done for. So, man, I don't know. I'd like to see somebody else beat this on hard. Anybody listening, if you finish this game on hard, let me know, because I almost question if it's possible. But yeah, it was a great game. You fight a giant dragon, as the main boss. That was epic. There's also a giant chicken that you fight, and that was a creepy boss battle. Because if I remember correctly, I think it's been a while since I played it, but I think you end up like cutting the chicken in half, and then it acts like the boss battle is over, and then the chicken comes back to life as its two halves, and then both of its halves are fighting you. Oh, and it's just kind of like this goofy yet creepy looking chicken boss, and that sent chills down my spine when that happened. I was like, yeah, I finally beat it. You know, set the controller down in my lap, not paying attention. Then all of a sudden the music just comes in real creepy, and then the thing just slowly floats up, comes back to life. Yeah, that was a memorable scene in this game. Anyway, great game. Another one I recommend. Of course, all these games on this list are ones we recommend, but so I guess that goes without saying. But anyway, what's next up on your list, Mitch?
Yeah, my third and final one on my list is a visual novel that I absolutely adored before, as I was going to bed playing it, and with all the lights off and my TV off and everything. And it is called Paranormasight: The Seven Mysteries of Hanjo. And this is one where I took a chance on playing it because, one, it was pretty cheap. I think I got it for like $10. And then it was also, while it's developed by Zine, it is published by Square Enix, and I always trust Square Enix with any games that they put that the stamp of approval on and publish. And this one did not disappoint. It drew me in, and I always talk about the art style of games and how those always draw me in to at least like want to give them a try. And this has some of the like most unique, like cool art style I've ever seen in games. Like, it's just like the character designs are super cool. Just even the way like they use the dialogue options and how they like appear on the screen is amazing. While it is a visual novel, like, there's a lot of like light puzzles with this one, and there's so many things I can say about it. It's definitely like my most surprised one from 2023. While it's a visual novel, you do have to. It has some sort of flow chart with it where you can't access other areas of the story until you find one of the, I think, 5 or 6 characters that you play. You have to make sure that you unlock other characters' progress through different characters. And you can also hit areas where if you make the wrong choice in this visual novel, like, you can die. Essentially, the game is set in the 1980s, and it centers around supernatural urban legends, which they call the Seven Mysteries of Hanjo. And then one night, a bunch of people are afflicted with these deadly curses, and you can use these curses to kill other people if they activate the curse. I want to say, like I spoke on the other podcast, there was one where if you had any sort of flammable device in your pocket, this person could activate their curse and like light you on fire or something like that. But the cool thing was you could learn from the other characters what these other curses did. And so, for instance, you could take that lighter out of your character's pocket and throw it into the lake, and then the character, like the person who owns the curse, is like flabbergasted on how he knew that his curse was activated by fire. So just like some super cool ideas in a graphic novel that I haven't seen in a lot of other ones that I've played. Like, I'm a big fan of the Phoenix Wright series. I play a lot of those games, but Paranormasight does some things with visual novels that are just something that I've really not uncovered. And just the gameplay mechanics, the story itself is just a cool, creepy concept, and then the art style. I mean, it's just a recipe for a great visual novel, and highly recommend. It's not super long by any means, but it's definitely one that I if you want something just chill to play, if you're okay with like a little bit of spookiness with your graphic novels, I would give this one a try for sure.
All right, man. Last but not least for me is the amazing Resident Evil 4 remake. If you can't tell, I'm a bit of a Resident Evil fan. So you knew I was gonna like this one. I love the Resident Evil 2 remake, the Resident Evil 3 remake, and I'm upset that they skipped Code Veronica and went straight to Resident Evil 4, but it doesn't take away that this is a good game. Much less scary than the other ones. I view Resident Evil 4 as more of a fun house game as opposed to a haunted house game, but it had just great game mechanics, a fun loop, amazing enemies, very, very good graphics, and varied environments, and it kept me engaged the whole way through. And it was just non-stop action set piece after action set piece. And Capcom, just like Square Enix, Capcom is that seal of quality. You know, anything they put out is at least going to be good, if not great. I still need to play the Separate Ways DLC, so I'll be playing through that before too long. And I hear rumors that another Resident Evil is going to be announced soon. Don't know how true that is, but I'm definitely keeping my eyes peeled
Ready for
that.
it. I'm very interested in what direction they go in after this. Now that the Ethan saga is over, and really interested to see where they're going to go next.
Yeah, I wonder. I mean, I think it'll be another original game because it seems like they've got a nice pattern of original game remake, original game remake. So if they're continuing on with that, then this next one should be an original game. But we'll see.
Yeah.
All right, man. That's it for our top 3 games that we played that were released in 2023. Now, you and I combed through every game that was released in 2023 to see what may have slipped past our radar or may have just slipped off our mind that we definitely should go back to and play. So what's up first on your list, man?
Yeah, what do you think? I know we have another topic after this. Do we want to maybe just do one each of the ones we want to play? Or
I would say let's do our whole set of 3, but just go ahead and crank through the list.
Yeah. Sure. So the first one, obviously, I've played the first one, and it is a great game from the 360, and they have remastered it as well onto the newer consoles. That is Alan Wake 2. And the reason why I've not played it up to this point is because, again, like we kind of been talking about, it was a digital only release. And it hasn't really, I mean, I've been seeing some sales and it's getting down there, but it was another one where it's like, you know, I'm not able to collect it into my physical collection. So, you know, I'm going to wait and see when it brings down in the sale, and then I'll end up picking it up. But I did love Alan Wake, the first game, and I'm actually playing through another Remedy game in Control right now, which, funny enough, I've beaten Control and going to the DLC, and they have a very much Alan Wake style DLC within Control, which is kind of cool because they have basically confirmed that they are part of the same universe, which I think is interesting. But yeah, Alan Wake 2 is like a long way coming. Like I loved Alan Wake 1 and played it on the 360 back in high school, and you know, I would love to see where they go with the story. I have heard really good things as far as you know, the gameplay and just, you know, what they do with the story, where you don't just play as Alan Wake, you do play as another cop, I think in like the Portland PD or something like that, somewhere on the Northwest Coast. So yeah, Alan Wake is one of them. Do you want to go to you, or do you want me to go again? Okay, yeah.
Keep rolling.
My second one is Sea of Stars, and I think we talked about Sea of Stars a little bit on a reveal trailer maybe a while ago, but as you could probably see on these screenshots, it is very much a game that is up my alley. It is a JRPG and everything that it is. It has a very unique art style. It is a game on Game Pass as well, so I do have it downloaded to my Xbox right now. I just haven't committed to playing it. But it's gotten rave reviews from a lot of from both Steam and, you know, a lot of publishers or a lot of websites that have reviewed it. So another one that is that I feel like is very much a Mitch game, probably not a Mike game, but one that's probably quite a few hours too, but seems amazing just from everything that it is. And then the third one that I will
go through is one that everybody is ranting and raving about, and I have to wait to play it because I have reserved a physical copy that does not get here until Q4 of 2024, and that is Baldur's Gate 3. And I've not actually played any Baldur's Gates, but I do like the whole concept of Baldur's Gate. I have played Divinity, and Divinity is fairly similar in style to the Baldur's Gates of I don't know, what do they call Baldur's Gate games? Like as far as their, I guess, the genre that they are.
I don't know.
Genre. Okay, they just call it a role-playing video game, according to here. Which I mean,
it's the original role-playing game style, I guess.
It basically is. I mean, it's very much like a Dungeons and Dragons style, where you're leading a group of characters and making choices that could succeed or not depending on rolls of a dice. And but apparently there's just so much content in Baldur's Gate 3 and so many dialogue options and so many just an overwhelming amount of quests and gameplay and whatnot. So I feel like when I get to that one, it's going to be one I'm going to have to put my full focus on. So I'm okay with not getting it until the physical release in Q4 of 2024. What do you got, Mike?
All right, man. For me, definitely Dead Island 2. Now, I loved the first Dead Island game. I loved the sort of expansion, Dead Island Riptide. Both great open world zombie games. I think they were underrated because I thought they were very unique. And when I played through it co-op with my buddy Anthony, I really felt like I was sucked into the world. Like I was trapped on this island full of zombies, fighting to survive, scraping together resources, building weapons, and the plot was really good. There were some very creepy scenarios. I remember going in like tunnels or like the underground area, and you just felt trapped. And then when you finally came back out of the underground area, back up onto the surface of the island, it was just like, oh, light, like I've made it out of hell, basically. And just interesting characters, tons of gore. I liked the combat system. I know a lot of people didn't really care for the melee combat system, but I very much enjoyed it. And of course, the original studio that worked on Dead Space, they were not able to retain the rights when they switched publishers, so Dying Light became the spiritual successor to Dead Space. And
Dead Island, you mean?
What's that?
Dead Island, you
Dead
mean?
Island,
Dead
yeah.
Space.
I think I did that in the
so
last
many of them.
episode. Man, too many dead games. Anyway, yeah, I loved every second of Dying Light too. It was just it had a different feel to it, but it definitely was an expansion on what made Dead Island great. So, Dead Island 2, which I thought was never going to come out because it seemed to be stuck in development hell, finally did come out in 2023. It's actually interesting. I'm looking at the Steam page, and it claims the release date is April 22, 2024. Was this like an Epic Games exclusive or something? Was it not on Steam before?
That's interesting. Maybe?
It says this game is not yet available on Steam. Planned release April 22, 2024.
Oh, it probably was an Epic Games exclusive. But I know it was on console right away, I want to say.
Yeah. Anyway, even though we really got our Dead Island sequel in Dying Light, this game still looked really good, and it looks like another game that doesn't take itself too seriously. And eventually I'll get around to playing this one too, especially if there's co-op, which there is. All right, so next up is Trepang 2 with no space.
I've never heard of the series.
You're in for a treat here. All right, Trepang 2. I don't know if you ever played the old Fear games.
Oh, yeah.
But Trepang 2, definitely inspired by the original Fear. It's just like action, gun fu, slow motion, tons of particle effects, people getting shot up, stuff blowing up, Matrix style. It's just over the top John Woo action.
Nice.
Man, I guess that might as well have been the game description, what I just said. It's just so...
Yeah, sounds good.
It's so wild. I played through the demo when that was released, and the demo was released way before the game came out. I mean, I think it came out maybe two plus years before the actual game was released, and I fell in love with it. It's another one of those situations where I was like, this is probably one of those games that's never actually going to come out. The studio probably just put a nice demo out that's like a vertical slice of what the game could be, and then the game never gets finished. But here we are years later, the game did get finished, and it just, man, I'm surprised this wasn't a day one purchase for me. And at all of these, this is probably my number one game for 2023 that I need to go back and play. And the weird thing is there is no Trepang 1, which is really confusing.
Oh.
So the developer is called Trepang Studios, and their first game has nothing to do with this. But for some reason, they decided to call it Trepang 2 because it's the second game that Trepang Studios has made.
Interesting.
So I searched high and low. I'm like, where's the original game? If the sequel's coming out, the original must already be here. I got to play the first one before I play the second one. And yeah, just there is no first one.
Is the first one called... I thought there's like I was looking at the Steam page. Never mind, I lost it. It is 33% off right now, though, on the Steam Spring Sale.
What's it going for? $20? All right, man. Yeah, I don't even see their first game on here, so I'm not even sure if it's on Steam.
There was like something where you could like package. I don't know. It could have been a completely different game though.
Yeah, I don't even think their
like
first
a
game's on
bundle.
Steam. Whatever it was.
Okay.
Anyway, last but not least, Armored Core 6: Fires of Rubicon. I remember when we watched the release trailer on an older episode, and I was hyped for this. This looked awesome. I've been a long time Armored Core fan. I played Armored Core 2 all the way back on the original PlayStation. Man, it must have been like late 90s, the year 2000, the year 2001. I think I got the demo for it on a Pizza Hut demo disc, because Pizza Hut used to give away PlayStation 1 demo discs
Yep.
with their pizzas, and that was awesome. I played a lot of great games through those demo discs from Pizza Hut. But anyway, I loved it. It was like just one multiplayer map that you could play two players, and I didn't have a lot of two-player games on PS1, so me and my friends would just hop on that and just fight each other. It was like a deathmatch mode, and that was so much fun. And I've played other ones, Armored Core, Master of Arena. I don't think I've played any of the modern ones. I played all the PlayStation 1 ones, so yeah, I don't really know how the ones on PlayStation 2 were or Xbox 360, but this one looks cool. Can't wait to check it out.
Yeah, from what I've heard from people that don't even like this series is that they still love this game. So it must be pretty darn good.
Yeah, it's got a very positive review on Steam, so it probably is good. All right, man, that's our list of games that we still need to play that were released in 2023. Stick around for our 2022 coverage next episode.
Yeah, let us also know if this is something that you'd like to see from us. Is something that you enjoy. I mean, we'll keep doing it if you guys like it. Mike and I have played plenty of games throughout the year, so we can certainly assemble 3 games per year without issue.
Yeah, and please let me know what your 3 favorite games were from last year. I'd like to know. So, moving along, Mitch, I heard you were playing some competitive shooting the other day. There are many competitive shooter games. I'm totally out of the loop. I know the classics. I know Counter-Strike. I know Call of Duty. I know Halo. I know Gears of War. This modern stuff, man, I just don't really know. I don't know too much about Fortnite. Don't know too much about Overwatch. Don't know too much about Valorant. But yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure you played all those games.
I have.
But What's going on, man? You know, you've always been really good at competitive shooters.
Yeah, I would like to think so. I remember back in the day on Halo 2, like probably feeling like I was at the point where I could play professionally if there was an avenue when we were that age to play professional. Like we had a game battles team that I've talked about on this pod before that we would assemble. We would play against top teams in the world and we would be competitive. So I'm coming back to earth now, though, as I've turned 30 years old here, 31 now, and I play a lot of Valorant these days with some of my friends. It's kind of the one that we're gravitating toward these days because Counter-Strike 2 is not really in the best place at the moment. I'm kind of waiting for them to kind of patch some stuff out and maybe make some updates, but yeah, I'm just getting my butt kicked, honestly, and I'm just not as good as I feel like I used to be, and I don't know what it is, to be honest with you. And I'm trying to reason with myself. I still feel like I got the good hand-eye coordination, and I feel like I can handle the both the gunplay and I guess the powers that you get that are in Valorant. You do have to balance really solid gunplay with abilities that each hero has in Valorant. I'm sure a lot of people do know Valorant, but I know, Mike, you've not played any of it. It's kind of a hybrid, I would say, to make it easy, is like a hybrid between like Overwatch and Counter-Strike. So like essentially you pick a character who has their own abilities, and they're all separate, and they all have different strengths, different weaknesses, but you all pick the same guns and buy the same guns. It's the same exact structure of buying and, round based as Counter-Strike. So just like think of it as Counter-Strike, where you pick certain characters and build like a synergy between your team of 5 and, play against another team of 5 and get to, still the round-based competitive scene where you still plant a bomb like you do in Counter-Strike, but it's literally just adding abilities, which kind of adds a different layer into the game. But yeah, I feel like I don't think it's me all the time, though, that is the reason why I am playing so poorly, and I definitely want to get your thoughts on it, but I think the cheating aspect in competitive games has gotten a bit out of control these days.
Yeah, I think probably a large percent of it is cheaters. It's like I know, man. I know we're getting older, and our hand-eye coordination may not be what it was when we were teenagers or in our early 20s, but it can't be degraded that bad, especially when you play hours and hours every single day. I mean, like with anything else, it's all practice. It's all a skill that you can improve on. And I'm sure there's people that are just absolutely amazing. But I know, like with the Call of Duty series, cheating is just out of control, especially on the PC version. Like, it is insane. So I'm sure it's no different in Valorant. I mean, I've found websites that you can buy all kinds of like attachments for your controller that let you do things that aren't humanly possible, and there's all kinds of sites that sell wall hacks and all kinds of crazy stuff. And it really sucks. It's like, what is the fun in that? You got people who cheat for whatever reason, although to me there's no enjoyment in that because it's not you. It's not you that's kicking butt. It's like it's the computer doing it for you. Like, you're just basically a passenger at that point. So how are you taking any pride or any enjoyment in cheating in the game? And then you got other people that feel like they have to cheat. That's always the question that I ask. Just to stay on the same level as the other people that are cheating, and it's a vicious cycle. Like I don't know, man. Can we at least be courteous where just put all the cheaters in one server so they can all just sit there and let their scripts run and play the game for them, while all the other people that actually just want to play this game can play without cheaters bothering them?
And I felt a little validated the other day because there's Shroud is a very, very, very popular streamer. and has played a lot of competitive games in the scene for a very long time. And he was doing an interview with somebody else, and essentially was saying like Counter-Strike is like it. We would always yell in Counter-Strike that people were cheating, and he basically kind of validated himself, and I trust like his word because he's, he is a very prominent streamer, has played a lot of his games, and he does say that Counter-Strike is a very heavy cheater base essentially, and I believe it just because while Valorant, I do feel like sometimes people are potentially cheating. I think I definitely can see from playing those two main competitive games where there are way more in Counter-Strike than in Valorant, which is probably due to Counter-Strike kind of just being an older game in general. I feel like there might be a little more access to finding cheats, and I don't know how good, I don't know how to stack up anti-cheat software with, certain games, but it seems like Valorant does do a little bit better job of that. But it's funny too, like, I mean, regardless of shooters though, I kind of want to go back to what you were saying is like, what is the point of like, what kind of fun do you get in cheating? I was playing another competitive game in Fall Guys. Are you familiar with Fall Guys, Mike?
Yeah. I never played it, but I've heard of it.
Yeah, it's just like the little like fun, like you go through an obstacle course and try and finish. I run into very early on in that game, I ran into somebody who is literally flying around the map, so their character does not have to go through any of the obstacles. And I'm like, why are we cheating in a little fun kid, party game like Fall Guys? Like, I just never understand, I guess, the desire or I guess the fun in cheating, because you're not really playing the game. Like you said, you're a passenger.
Yeah, but at that point, we're kind of getting into human psychology, because there's definitely things I'll never understand. True. It's like, why do some people commit crimes and others don't? It's just like, I can try to understand it, but I don't know.
It's just unfortunate when these people, have the urge to want to cheat, because it can certainly ruin games as well.
Yeah.
If these companies cannot keep the cheating under control, at least, to a minimum standard. I was playing, there's a time where I was talking to you, Mike, I was playing a lot of this game called The Finals, and a really cool concept of like almost like a game show where you're like trying to score points and like by protecting a money box that you're trying to cap, and it has some really good shooting mechanics combined with some cool like abilities and whatnot. But it just came to a point where we were running into a lot of cheaters, and it was like blatantly obvious to the point, where we're like, we just can't play this game anymore. Like it's not fun when you're just running into this all the time, and when stuff can't happen, and the developers can't do anything to defend themselves against it, then like the games die, and that's unfortunate because like obviously in the finals sake, like I think it is a really solid game. It's just it just sometimes becomes unplayable and frustrating when you can't play due to the immense amount of cheaters.
Yeah, and I love competitive games, but I think that's a large reason why I play more single-player games or more co-op games, or it's just PvE. Because, man, those Call of Duty games, after they've been out on PC for a month, it's just full of cheaters. I remember I tried going back to one of the older games. I think it was Black Ops 3, and it was just unplayable. The only people left on those servers were cheaters. And yeah, just with a lot of this stuff, man, like you said, if a game doesn't get a handle on it early enough, it can just kill the game. So, and then, yeah.
It really can.
It's bogus, man. And I know firsthand, like being a software developer, you cannot prevent everything. There's always going to be some pathway in that somebody can exploit. So there's unfortunately there's no perfect solution to stop it, and I don't think there ever will be. It'll always be a continuous battle that probably sucks a lot of resources that could have been spent on actually making the game itself better, but it has to be spent on development time, fighting, exploits that people come up with.
Yeah, it's just sad because like I agree. Like I love playing. I'm a competitive person. Like, I don't have many avenues these days to where I can like get that competitive side out of me, and like games is the one way I can do that. And my friends and I love like teaming up and playing against other people. So, it's just a bummer sometimes where we get really frustrated and we're like, all right, we're done for the night. Like, we want to play, but we can't because we just don't feel like it's fair competition at the moment for XYZ. And yeah, it's a bummer, but like you said, I know developers a lot of them are doing everything they can to combat it. It's just it's tough. It's there's new ways people come up with cheating all the time. Even when one thing is patched out, something else, that they'll find another way in.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Anyway, in conclusion, I don't necessarily think it's that you're getting older and you're losing your reflexes or hand-eye coordination. Maybe a little bit.
Yeah, maybe a little.
But I think there's a lot of other factors at play as well. But anyway, anything else on this topic?
Nope, I'm all good. Good episode.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks again if you made it all the way to the end. You can find all our episodes on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Mitch, where else are we at?
Yep, you can find us on our Twitter at Hills Are Silent. Our Instagram is Instagram/Hills Are Silent. Our TikTok is at the Hills Are Silent Podcast. And our YouTube is at the Hills Are Silent. If you have any questions, comments, send them to our email inbox, hillsaresilent@gmail.com, or hit us up on our Spotify comments or YouTube comments or anywhere else. Let us know about your top 3 games of 2023 or any that you want to play that you haven't gotten to yet. And as always, we will catch you in the next episode.